Hi, I'm Natasha and welcome back to Element 14 Presents. Today I made my very first circuit sculpture using LED filament. In this video, I'll show you how I planned out the design, shaped the wire, and connected everything into this freestanding circuit sculpture. Let's jump in. This project was inspired by this tiny LED snowflake. When I saw it, I was in love, but it was so small, so I had the idea to make a much larger version. I've never made a circuit sculpture, but I've always wanted to, so I thought this was the perfect project to figure out how to connect components with bare wire and also play with what LED filament can do. Although they look like glowy neon light and they're called LED filament, they actually aren't filament at all. They're a string of tiny LEDs placed so close together that they look like a continuous line of light. They come in different lengths and colors, and a lot of makers refer to them as LED noodles since they're so noodle-like. Most of these filaments are flexible, but when I ordered the pack that wasn't, that's when I realized that they could provide the structure to make my circuit sculpture design possible. The only downside to the rigid LED sticks is that they're extremely fragile. They don't bend, but they sure do break. The smallest amount of pressure just snaps them in half. So I had to be extremely careful when handling them throughout this project. I was always inspired by the Saks Fifth Avenue Snowflake light show during the holidays, and I thought this could be a way for me to capture that energy in a small sculpture. So I decided to make a segmented design using many LED filament sticks, with the goal of being able to animate and fade them in groups. So I started to tinker and play with different snowflake shapes using the LED sticks. I was looking for something aesthetically pleasing and that I could wire up to illuminate and control each element of the design separately. This was a super ambitious design to do for my first circuit sculpture, and you can watch me regret it a bit halfway through this video, but let's jump into it. The first thing I needed to do was figure out how to connect the LEDs to the copper wire, so I did a small test. I made this little sample star shape by connecting the negative sides of the LEDs together in the center and running a trace of copper wire around the outside to create this spoke-like shape. You can tell the positive and negative sides of the LEDs apart because one of the wires has a small hole in it. And it seems more typical that the hole is on the positive side, but it actually depends on the batch and the manufacturer, which is an unfortunate discovery that I will make later in this video. But for now, my little prototype worked. Just like the test, I planned to group the LEDs into rings and make a positive and negative rail for each ring to attach the LEDs to. This concept is super simple, but when thinking in layers of LEDs, this was a lot to think about. So to make sense of the layers of wire and wire traces, I turned to Adobe Illustrator. I measured the LED because although the product length of 40 millimeters was correct, I wanted to know the distance of the illumination. And I placed a photograph of my design on the canvas for reference so everything would line up. I grouped the LEDs together into rings, then I made a common ground between pairs of two adjacent rings so that I could run less wire throughout the sculpture. So instead of always having the negative side on the inside and the positive side on the outside, some of the pieces grouped two sections together. So I had a ring of positive, a ring of negative with both groups attached, and a ring of positive again for the second group. These trace diagrams will serve as templates to shape the wire, but with all this complexity and the amount of connections I needed to make, my brain felt like jelly, so I had to just print them and tell myself to trust the process. I created a sort of jig from a piece of foam board and some map pins to help shape the wire. this sort of worked, but the wire wanted to run away, so I ended up using a combination of tape and the pins to make it all set in place. And thus began the process of placing the LEDs onto the wires and soldering their little connections. I placed each LED onto the copper wire in its correct angle and then put a tiny bit of solder on it to hold it in place. Throughout the process, I had to keep checking and testing the polarity. I knew that the side with the hole in it was positive, but once you put solder on it, you can't see the hole anymore. So that made it difficult to visually check that I had done it correctly. And the tedium continued because the more components were connected, the more fragile the whole layer became, and the LEDs snapped very easily. Since the wire was flexible, the weakest link is the LED itself, so any little adjustment and the LED could pop. And it was really hard to not want to adjust the wire because if it bent a little bit, you just think, oh, I'll fix that real quick, and boom, you snapped an LED. At this moment in the project, I froze. Okay, pun intended. I just let the layers sit on my desk for several days. I was honestly terrified to put this together because each layer was so fragile, and it felt like the more pieces that I would connect together, the more risk I had of bending a wire and breaking the LEDs attached to it. So, I just waited until I was in a very calm, patient mood, and then I took the step to solder them together. I ended up making a little separator out of some cube magnets to better position the layers, and then the task was to solder all of the ground wires together first. So I did groups of 2 layers at a time, and then went forth and soldered those groups of 2 together to make one big ground wire that ran throughout the whole snowflake. The next step was connecting a wire to the positive side of each LED group. I had this wooden block in my studio and I thought it would make a nice base for this project. So I found a perf board and I connected all of the circuit wires to the perf board and then screwed the perf board to the top of the wooden block. But to my surprise, the wires were strong enough to hold the whole circuit upright. In the end, I only ended up breaking 4 or 5 LEDs, which was less than I anticipated. When I removed the first broken LED to replace it, I realized that the second pack of LEDs that I bought was reversed polarity. The negative wire had the hole in it. So I had just done this very tedious surgery to my circuit, and it was perfectly soldered in place again, and it didn't work. So I had to resolder that one. But I got through it, and hey, at least it worked. At least it was just a reverse polarity and the whole pack wasn't bad. So with everything connected, it was time to test each circuit. So I created this little tester by placing some maker tape or conductive tape on this piece of foam. And that allows me to kind of get in there without sticking the claws in. And you can see, oh, this is so fun. I also have this piece of Velostat, which is the same material that they put in pressure sensors. So I'm essentially making myself a giant pressure sensor because I wanted to test what it would look like if I was fading my LEDs in and out without writing a bunch of code to start, just to see what I want to do next. So I'm pressing, and you can see I'm lightening up, I'm pressing down harder, and then I can move over to press a different wire. So there's different connection levels. And I think that's gonna look so cool. Ooh. I could do this all day. So fun. There are 3 things that I would do differently if I were to do this over again. The first thing is I think I would use a thicker gauge wire for all of the traces that are going down to the base. As you can see, if I move it just a little bit, it has a lot of shake to it. So I want it to be a little bit more sturdy, but I do like the fact that the wire gauge is so small going around the actual circuit because it lets the wire disappear more and the LEDs stand out, which is the point of the whole sculpture. And I also think that at the beginning I was being really precious about the blobs of solder that were connecting the LEDs, but in the end I kind of let myself off the hook because I thought, you know, as long as it's an electrical connection that works, I'm okay with it being a little bit blobby. If I were to do another project like this, like I really kind of want to make a tiara now with LED filament like this, I might be more careful with the solder and making sure that it's pristine. But for my first circuit sculpture and doing so many LEDs, I decided that I wasn't going to clean up any little solder blobs or anything, and they were just going to be the shape that they were as long as they were electrically connected and everything was good. I decided I would be happy with that. And the third thing that I learned was that the LEDs actually have a face to them. If you saw in the close-up that I showed earlier, there's kind of a backside, and although the whole thing is wrapped in silicone, the LEDs definitely shine in one direction. And the only time that was really a problem is when I broke a few of the LEDs and I reinstalled them. I wasn't as careful as I was at the beginning to install them with their face facing front. So there are a few LEDs that are just a hair dimmer when looking at the sculpture because they're facing backwards. So I didn't pay attention when I was at the end and I was just replacing LEDs and I wanted the whole thing to be all done. But next time I'll be more careful and I will make sure that I have not only the polarity correct, but the LEDs facing the direction that I want to shine out of. The next thing that I need to do is decide how I want to hook this up. So this was always intended to be a microcontroller project. So I need to think about, do I want it to be a VU meter, a music thing? Do I want it to be a data visualizer? It would be really kind of cool. What if it went off when it actually snowed? Or if I just make it something that's musically beautiful. So if I put on some wintry soundscape, does it twinkle and breathe with the music? That would be really cool as well. So what do you think I should use to animate this? What would you do? Let me know in the comments, and I'm going to get to work finishing this, and in my next video you'll see what I turn this all into. Stay tuned and be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. I'll see you there.